Hey guys, it is Liberty, and I'm so excited to be on with you. Sitting here by a little lake that I commonly will go hike around. This is Sunday morning, did an early prayer drive and hiking first thing in the morning. These are my favorite things, guys. I got my old hat out, my Ascend hat. Some of you guys will remember it. If you've been following me for many years, I think I wore it like a lot in like 2020. But I thought I'd pull it out in light of the subject today. And I think that this hat is fitting for the subject today. I also wore it for, I was a guest on a show Friday morning, 714 prayer call, and or prayer show, and I wore it because I literally feel like it's the season that we're in. And if you go back, if you've been following me, you'll go back, you'll see that there were several videos I did with this hat, and it's because at that time it was like my favorite thing. And so, you know, us girls go through phases. So, but anyway, so excited because the word I'm about to release to you, I'm going to also kind of share my heart, share my thoughts. I usually do that. And many of you guys will email me and you'll say, or send messages and you'll say, you know, I'm so thankful that sometimes you explain some of your journey and your story, because it helps us to be able to connect the dots in our own life when we're dealing with testimonies or problems or pruning or whatever we've been facing. And you guys know there's been a lot of different things we've been walking through. So I'm not going to recap everything, but first and foremost, I want to say prayer tonight is at Kennesaw State University in Marietta, the Marietta campus. So honored, you guys. And I don't want to skip this by saying this. We will be there at 6 p.m. tonight. All the info is on social media, on the Heaven's Prayer Room flyer. We would love to see you come and hang out with us and pray and intercede. Also, you guys, it was just an amazing open door, and it's just for tonight, but we had some people come last Sunday night, and they've been following my ministry for years. And one of the women she helps oversee the Baptist Collegiate Ministry on the campuses, and they're Southern Baptist, and they've been following my ministry for very, very many years. And they came and they were just like, we want to come, we want to pray, we want to be a part of this prayer movement because something needs to happen, you know. And so, and she was like, I've been praying forever for the campuses. Well, she contacted someone during the week, and she got a hold of me and said, hey, we got permission to open up the campus for you to do your service here. And I was like, oh man. Oh, anyway, it's like gold, you guys. I'm like, that's amazing. And so excited, you guys, because we're going to be releasing the glory over the Gen Zs and over the campus, and it's just going to be amazing. And so excited. My seat is like annoying me. So excited to go use the campus. I mean, I saw it as a beautiful open door to take the glory onto the campus with permission. So that's even more amazing. I'm not like just doing it and making it happen, but literally the Lord just opened the door for that, you guys. So we're going to be there on the campus tonight. And we are so excited to be there and use the space for tonight to release the glory over the Gen Zs and over the campus. We're going to continue with the prayer movement, the words that God has been speaking for Atlanta and all that. But as we're there, you know, when we step foot on the campus, we're releasing while we're there, and just so honored and blessed to do it. There's other things happening. Some things are just beginning to, you know, what I call escalate quickly, which is awesome. It's amazing. So just so honored and excited. Hope to see you tonight in Northwest Georgia is where it's the Marietta campus. And all over social media, you can find the address if you want to come. 6 p.m. tonight. We're going to have, of course, live worship. And we're going to pray. We're going to prophesy. We're going to release the word. We're going to receive communion on behalf of Georgia and Atlanta and the North Georgia area. And we're going to have a great time. So we hope to see you. Okay, so this word that I'm going to be releasing, I've just been asking the Lord, what's on your heart? Because I do this every minute of every day, but I know I haven't gotten on and released a now word for a minute. And, I know sometimes you guys, you want to hear like a political word, or you want me to release a fire word, everyone's going down, you're getting a whooping, you'll still get kind of a spanking. But the Lord is walking his people through a season of understanding, coming out of the pit mentality into the palace. Esther was an orphan and she had to leave, and I'm not recapping everything, but I am a little bit, especially if you're new to my channel or new to this ministry. Esther was an orphan and she was taken into the palace and married the king. So she didn't become less Jewish or less who her heart was, who she truly is, but she still went in and had the benefits of the palace, and she understood that. And so Joseph, he left the pit and went into the palace. Pit was preparation, but the palace, he had to go in there and live and enjoy it. And sorry guys, it's getting warm, but if this is in my face too much, it's going to make me cough. He went into the palace and then enjoyed everything the palace had to offer. And so, God needs us to change our mentality, get away from poverty mentality, get away from religious mentality, religiosity, get away from the pit mentality. We're not victims. We're not orphans. We are loved. We have value. He died for us for a reason. We're on the earth for a reason. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. And so if we don't understand that and understand God's character, it's very hard for us. It's going to be very hard for us to truly live in it without getting trapped under the demonic stronghold of guilt, shame, and condemnation, which comes through religion. Being in it's not relationship, it's religion. And you're never going to be perfect. You can never do it right enough. You're always in a woe is me state. I have no value, I mean nothing, and that's a lie. It's all a lie, you guys. There's a difference between being humble and lowly. We have to be humble and lowly, but we better know our authority. You ain't going to cast out a demon or heal the sick if you don't even know the Jesus in you. We have to know his presence, walk in the resurrection power, and we have to know it. And so, sorry guys, this cold air is like in my face. But it needs to be. But I'm trying to not take super deep breaths because it's going to make me cough. So, but, so getting out of that mentality, understanding, the desires of our heart, understanding we can have desires, understanding that we should have desires. They're from him. They're not from us. They're from him. He gives us desires and then he wants us to accept them, because then we can't walk in it if we don't accept them. If we don't believe we can have them, then we won't even acknowledge what he's put in our heart. And so I've been walking you guys through all this with knowing your heart, knowing the desires of your heart, getting out of the pit mentality, understanding just everything about how we view God, how we view our part, how we view our authority. We've got to get rid of the death theology. And so this word is going to be about the desires of our heart, but we've got to get rid of death, the theology of death. the theology that we're some lifeless puppet, and he's in us. We just do what you do, Jesus, but we're a rag doll. No. We have choices. We do have to obey. We do have to walk the walk, but there's also love in the walk. Not religion. See, and what happens is religion, if you let religion come into your life and it begins to snuff you out, you become rigid and stern. You become not you. And then you begin caving to the stronghold in the region. The religious stronghold is very strong here. And it will want to if you're spirit-filled, spirit-led, going with the glory, it will want to subdue you. So I'm the perfect person to come in because I ain't playing with no religious spirit. It ain't going to get its clutches on me. And so, and I don't say that, you guys, in an unhumble way. I say it in confidence in the cross. His power is greater. The Holy Spirit is greater. Truth is greater. His character is greater. And so this is what's going to be presented through the prayer movement. And so a lot of that stuff's going to be broken and we're going to move it out of the way. And I'm super excited. Super, super excited. It's one of my favorite things, guys. But as we've been learning about the desires of our heart, as we've been learning about understanding to live in a theology of life, being alive, not dead, and understanding our heart. So I've been saying to the Lord the last few days, because I'm like, Lord, I have not gotten on and released a now word to your people. So what are you saying to your people? What is your heart for your people right now? And I know for me, he's continued to have me brew over the desires of my heart. And like, what are my desires? Like, I wrote a bunch down, but like, what's connected to them? What do I really want? What does Liberty really want? What is in her heart? Who's the real Liberty? And as I was asking those questions, because, you know, I want mine to line up. So now what I'm going to talk to you about and I'm going to share with you is like the last 15 years of experience and things I've walked through to learn what I'm going to teach you today. What you're going to learn, the now word you're going to learn right now. And to understand the word that he gave me for you. And so today we're going to talk about knowing your heart, knowing your promises. Know your heart, know your promises. And the Lord has been the last 3 days, man, he just wrecked me. And man, I can feel the glory already, you guys. Woo! It's not just about knowing him, knowing your heart, knowing the promises, but it's also connecting them. It's bringing them together. It's having them be in alignment. And so the Lord it's just been in my heart. And, you know, I've had several conversations with him. I'm like, Lord, I was like, I just don't desire that. And what can happen is at the end of the day, if you really don't desire that, it's going to become a heavy burden. It's going to become a weight at the thought of it. It's going to grate your spirit. And you don't know why. And then all this stuff starts happening and you're like being tossed around like a rag doll, or you're like, you're confused and you can't think clearly. You can't make decisions clearly. I'm hoping this video helps you out. Okay. Because I am huge, you guys. Man, I can feel the glory. I am huge on really understanding God's heart, and he helps me to understand my heart, and then I have perfect peace. And so this is what he's been talking to me about the last 2 or 3 days, and I'm going to share with you my process over the last 15 years to lead to today. Some things I'm going to share with you today about my heart's desires, and I hope that as I walk you through this word, you really begin to understand and things get unveiled for you. And I just pray that you really begin to see yourself, you see the Lord, and you understand everything. Okay. So as I've been sitting with him and I've just been continuing, and I just, on this subject of the desires of your heart. And I know this is not a political word. This is not about, Iran. We just bombed Iran. We're praying for that. I got messages in the middle of the night from people I consider generals in the faith, and they're like, Liberty, there's stuff happening. They're in the prophetic and the prayer realm, and they're like, this is what's happening. And so I saw it like at 3:00 this morning, and prayed and took authority and did what God calls me to do. And I went back to sleep. And so you need to know God's at work in all that, you guys. We're in the end times. And that's all I'm going to say on that. If God gives me a word with it or wants me to release something, I will do it. But right now, his heart is for his bride. And there's parts to things he wants to speak and do with his bride right now that have nothing to do with politics, have nothing to do with war. Although at the end of the day, these are all signs that we're in the last days, but not like the last days is in 100 years. Or, when your grandmammy Martha said 100 years ago, Jesus coming back tomorrow, no, it's for real, guys. I believe in my lifetime. So that's what I think. And that's what I just know things. And at times and seasons is what I do. And I know that it's not, I can feel the glory. It's not 100 years from now. So it's imperative that his bride understand who he is, understand who they are, and understand what needs to be created in them and formed into their heart, mind, and spirit to be unshakable. An unshakable bride. Attributes of an unshakable bride. Things that are necessary. Revelations you've got to understand. And if you don't understand them, it's going to make it really hard for the Lord to get you to understand when he's like, you're going to have to be martyred for that. If you don't know him, if you don't understand. And so, as you know, God's walked me through this big walk, you guys, and I'm going to talk about it in just a minute. And I am literally going to share my heart, and I'm going to be so real with you, and I'm so excited to do it because I know that it's going to really bless you and it's going to help you, okay? So this is what the Lord told me. He said, Liberty, my people must know their heart and know their promises. Know your heart, know your promises. The Lord said it is important to know his promises are sure, but we must know them and understand them. Our heart must be connected to the promises. Our heart must be connected to the promises. When the heart is not connected fully to them, that season can be over. So God's heart, his desire for you is he's withdrawn a thing from you, from your heart, but you're still in that season. You're still connected to that old promise. And so then you won't allow the season to end to move into the new one. And so, and I'm going to walk you guys through my story. And I just truly hope that this word just blesses you in this walk of removing the pit mentality, the theology of death, walking in the life. We're alive. Jesus is alive mentality, and the palace mentality, and who God truly is, and who we are truly in him. Amen. When the heart is not connected fully to them, that season can be over. What that means is if God has truly removed that desire from your heart, you must be able to know it so you can move forward and not backwards, or live in a past state of being, or live in a past season he is saying is done. We must know our hearts to truly know the promises. Some promises have expired. They have an expiration date. But we can ride high on excitement, especially if we're happy and obedient. And we can stay in a promise, he put in quotations. We can stay in a promise longer than we should. That means if we don't understand our own heart's desires and who we really are, we can keep following, in quotations, old ones that God put in us, connected us to an old promise. So they're old desires. And he's removed those and he's trying to give you new desires. But those old desires he put in your heart are connected to a promise that you're still trying to hang on to. That when the Lord is saying that that promise has done its season, it's expired. It's okay, you guys. It's okay for it to expire. And so, and I'm gonna show you all this and walk you through it. Can stay in a promise longer than we should. That means if we don't understand our own heart's desires, we can keep following old ones that God put in us, connected to an old promise that he's moving us out of and away from. We must truly know what God has put in us, to chase after and believe for the right promises. And so that's literally what he spoke to me. And he wanted me to use my what I've walked through the last 15 years to help you understand this. So here's the thing, you guys. If we write down our desires and we know them, we really have to know them. And we have to make sure that those desires are still connected to a promise. That promise hasn't already been fulfilled, basically. And you've walked it out. And now he's moving you to a whole new promise. A whole new thing. And a whole new way of expanding. A whole new way of thinking. A whole new mentality. Out of the pit. Out of religion. Out of what's expected of you. All the things. Out. And so let me walk you through my story. So basically, in 2011, I had a dream that I was pregnant. And then I had a dream I gave birth. And at that time, I gave birth to church planting, apostolic. God began to birth the apostolic in me. And church planting. And so within 2 years, I began the process of church planting, to prepare to church plant and plant my first church, and to begin to do that. And then I spent 8 years as a lead pastor. And towards the end of that, God began to pull me out. It was like a withdrawing, but I didn't fully understand what was happening. I didn't know he was doing it in the moment. But I began to learn, like, okay, something's up. And by that time, my global ministry had grown. I don't like using the word blew up because it wasn't like that. I mean, it kind of was, but it was just like, it grew very quickly. And then now I'm traveling and I'm speaking and I'm ministering and I'm doing all this stuff and running the home church. And so, you probably think you know where I'm going with this, but you probably don't. Well, maybe you do, because if you've been following me for many years, you've heard tidbits here or there. But I was like, Lord, I begin to feel the stifledness of things. But I love the church plant, and I did not even imagine not doing the church. I wasn't wrapping my head around the fact that he was moving me into the full apostolic and being a prophet, and the church planting days were done. And so, he began to do that process with me of letting go of the church. And you have to understand, it was hard, you guys, because that was a promise. And it was, I loved it. Like, it was my heart. And I loved doing it and all that. And it was like my baby, And so when he was like, Liberty, I need you to step away from that. to focus on the global ministry. And I was just like, Lord, help me to understand what you're doing, because, this is a lot, for me to just let go of the baby. And he said, Liberty, I need you to stop the local, I need you to stop thinking local and think global. I'm changing your mentality. So see, it can be about our mentality, you guys. He's constantly, we're ascending. We're growing, okay? He said, I need to take you out of the local mentality, local thinking, and bring you into the global mentality and global thinking for your apostolic work. And he said that original 2011 apostolic call he put on me, he said, Liberty, it wasn't just for church planting. He said, church planting is one piece to the apostolic call. Apostles are sent ones. And he said, you are now a sent one, full-fledged. And he said, the church plant is what I would say to you is a manifestation of, so I would call it, of my apostolic call beginning to be birthed. So I began to truly walk in it with the church plant. But the Lord said, Liberty, this is what he said to me back in 2020. Planting churches doesn't make you an apostle. It is not the full call. Your planting the church is just one part of the apostolic work I have for you. He said, I need you to be global. He goes, I have huge reach for you. I have places your voice needs to go. The glory and the fire that I carry, he said, I need you to take it places. You're a sent one. And you need to be available to be sent. And it was rough, you guys. It was like 6 months, mainly because, so here's the thing. At that time, I had not done traveling ministry. Like I had, but not like, that wasn't my whole life. I had moved for ministry many times. So moving ain't a thing. Move me, Jesus, let's do it. I've moved like 40 times. I don't even care. I'll sell all my stuff. I'll give up everything. I literally don't care. I'm not attached to stuff. I'm not attached to things. And so not like that. I hold everything loosely. But when he wanted me to give up the baby, I was just like, oh my goodness, because that is what I had known, and it was like the first big thrust of my apostolic call. And he said, Liberty, church planting is one piece to the puzzle of an apostle. And he said, I have other things I need you to do, and I need you to focus on. And I was like, okay. And so I began to have peace because I was beginning to understand. And he was like, I need you to be able to focus on the global ministry and growing it. And you're traveling and you're writing and all that. He goes, I need you to focus. And I was like, okay. So I'm out praying. I'm driving and praying around the area, what I called the glory zone, where we had the church plant. And I'm just praying and I'm interceding. And I just said to the Lord, I was just having, a moment. And I'm like, this is hard, Lord. I said, letting go of the church is hard. My baby, And with no thought to like have another baby, because, it's hard when you're church. If you're not a church planter, you don't understand. Like, it's like burns in you, And so I was like, can you please help me to understand this better? Because this is really hard, I said, what is happening? And he said, this season has ended. I'm taking you into a new season. And you guys think that that's so easy, or like, well, that's so simple. But at that moment, it was the biggest revelation of my life. And he was like, Liberty, that season is done. I'm taking you to another season. He said, Liberty, seasons come and go. Church planting is one part to the apostolic call. I said, and he said, there's way more things for you to do. And he goes, I'm moving you into greater works. And I need you to step out of being local to being global. And I need you to think global. And so just as soon as he said, I'm bringing you to a new season, that season is over. Immediately I began to just reflect on, winter, summer, fall. Each season has to end to bring in the new one. And so immediately I just knew in my heart, I'm like, okay. And I had perfect peace. And I was like, okay. And the Lord's like, Liberty, I have greater works for you to do as an apostle, other apostolic work. Church planting is a manifestation of the anointing as an apostle, but it's not everything. It's not all an apostle's ever going to do. And he said, that's what they do. They plant and that's all they ever do. And he said, for you, I don't have that for you. I need you to be global. I need you to be able to travel and everything. And I was like, okay. So I let go of the church. I did all that. That was before I ever moved to Texas. And I began to focus on the global ministry. And so then, finish getting my book written. So then, we moved to Texas. And in Texas, I was like, I guess, I was all excited. I was like, well, maybe I'll plant a church here, And, but I just kept feeling like people were emailing me. People were like, because we had like 2,500 online members, church members. And because it was COVID and most people were shut down. So like we were their church, And they were like, when are you going to start Sunday services back up? When are you going to start going live on Sundays? Like and I'm just telling you, it grated me the wrong way. And I'm being so real with you guys, and I can feel the glory. It grated me the wrong way. And you wouldn't think that, but here's what I think you're figuring out by now over the last 5 years, you guys, is God is totally different than you think. How he does things is different than you think. And if you ain't got nothing showing you anything different, then you're serving the wrong Jesus. You're serving religion. Because I'm telling you right now, he is always speaking. He is always moving. He is always revealing. And he is always growing us. We don't ever stay the same. And so we get to Texas, but I just kept feeling every time, people were like, when is church going to go back up again and blah, blah, blah. The thought of getting back on the Sunday grind just grated me. But when I was doing it as a church planter and a pastor, I loved it. So I couldn't figure out what was going on, and I'm like, why does that feel so wrong? And so I sat with the Lord and I'm just like, what is going on? People are begging for me to feed them, the sheep, and, but I feel wrong, I just feel so wrong. And he said, Liberty, the reason it feels wrong is because I'm taking you out of the Sunday grind, the Sunday routine, and I'm bringing you into going and flowing. He goes, that's what I've been doing with having you let go of the church. So at this time, it was the very end of 2021. So I'd only had like a fresh 14 months to adjust to the walk away of the baby. And, so I was like, what's happening here? And the Lord said, Liberty, you cannot have a church. 80% of your energy will be used on these 500 sheep over here. And you'll have 20% for the global ministry to be an apostle. He said, you're an apostle first. Pastoring is one piece to the gift of the fivefold. I walk in all of them. I do all of them. And he said, an apostle is the whole package. If you put 80% of your time into the pastoring, then you have 20% for being my apostle. And he said, Liberty, I need you to be 100% a sent one. That means you go when I say go. Because there's places I need you to take the fire and the glory. I need you to prophesy. I need you to shift the territory and shift the principality and move. And, I've got to travel. I've got to go places and put my feet on the ground. I want you to pour into pastors and leaders and all these things that he's just telling me to do and that he's going to call me to do. And he said, Liberty, pastoring is a beautiful thing. And you did an amazing job. You were so obedient with the first baby, church plant that he gave me. But he said, that's not your ultimate call. Church planting was not my ultimate call for you. That was just one part of it, one piece, one season. And he said, if you are my words, you guys, I gotta be funny. Babysitting these 500 people with their problems and the counseling and the giving of your time and the prayers and the midnight calls and the hospital visits and all the tangies that come with it, then you are not giving the time and space and energy to the apostolic call. He goes, I need you to be an apostle, Liberty, not just a pastor. And so you need to understand, you guys, at that time, and I hope this helps some of you understand why I could never open a church in Texas, because I know many of you really wanted me to. And I have a big following in Texas, you guys. And the Lord's like, Liberty, your following, it's not too big here. Like, oh, it's too big because I'm so cool. No, but he said, it's big enough. If you open a church, you're going to have 500 people immediately. First Sunday. And their children and their babies. And you got to organize all that. You got to plan all that. You got to get it going. And he said, I know you know how to do it and you have a heart to do it. But he goes, it doesn't mean that I want you to be doing it. He goes, I cannot have you putting all your energy into that. You've got to be free to go and flow and travel with the Spirit. And I was like, okay. So I let it go, you guys. And the Lord really began to show me. So then he moved me on to Florida. And he did not want me planning a church there. And I was getting the drift, that he's like, Liberty, this is not what you're doing. And so, I knew then, I was like, really knew that the church planting was not my call anymore. That season was done. He gave me the heart desire for it, you guys. And it was a piece of the promise as an apostle. But then he lifted the desire out, because in Texas, just the thought of getting back on the Sunday grind, the routine of that, grated my spirit. It grated my mantle. And it was all, like it was already feeling choked out. And then when the Lord explained it all to me, I understood better. And I was like, okay, I've got to focus on traveling and being global and going and flowing and all that. And he said, yes, Liberty. So then we come to Georgia. And once again, immediately people are asking me, well, if Georgia's home, will you start a church? You think you're going to start a church? Will you start a church? And run it the way I would run a church, which would be Spirit-led, the now word, no religion. I'm sorry, but I ain't doing it. Services probably ain't going to be out by noon. None of my church services were that way. When I had the church plant, we went from like 10:30 to 1:30. And I let the Spirit go and flow, the fire, the glory. There is no religion. I won't bow to it. And so if we bow to it as an apostle, then it will suck us dry. It will change us. So what happens is, you guys, if you insist on being in a season you're not supposed to be in, if you try to keep your heart connected to a promise, that he has pulled that desire out because you've already fulfilled it. He's fulfilled that promise. You've done that season. He needs you to move on now. He has greater works. For you, mine is apostolic, pastoring, all the things. Like, this is my story. Yours could be completely different. It could be a career change. It could be family changes. It could be moving to another state. I mean, I don't know what yours is, but I'm hoping that me telling my story and hearing how God showed me things as I went and the lessons I learned to become me now will help you understand. And then understand when I'm about to share with you some of my desires. And I'm just going to lay it out there, you guys, because you need to understand that this is a very important season to break off all old mentalities, to step into the new, to step into the palace, to step into representing Christ alive, not dead, as a resurrected king, a resurrected savior. And so I'm in Florida, and then I move here, and I'm like, Lord, I'm birthing this stirring for the prayer movement. And the Lord straight up told me, it is not going to be a church plant. It is not, I'm not pastoring. I am going to be stewarding prayer movement. Everyone is going to have their own churches. They will come to my services to join the prayer movement and participate with what God is doing to plow the ground for the outpouring that's coming. And so what does that mean for when the outpouring comes? I will tell you, I don't know. I don't know. But I'm here to tell you, you guys, it's so important to know your heart and know your promises and make sure that they are aligned and connected, and that your heart isn't still trying to have a desire or do a thing and be connected to a promise that promise is done. It's been fulfilled. You're not supposed to keep trying to have that promise. It's done its time. It's fulfilled its work on the earth. God's moving you to a whole new thing. And so, like, even example, like, I'll just throw this story out there. Like Janet and Joshua Mills, they moved from Canada to Alabama, and they were there at the church there, and they worked at the school of ministry for 3 years teaching, and God moved them on. He said, your season here is done. And so we have to know our seasons. We have to know our heart and know our promises. And so here's the thing, you guys. Woo! It's so important to know, because I'm telling you, writing your desires down is beautiful. And that relieves you and gives you peace and hope and expectancy. But also knowing what you don't want, knowing a desire that is no longer yours, God has removed it, and it's not connected to a promise. That promise is not, it's not supposed to be happening. It's already been fulfilled. Also lets a huge weight off of you. And so here's my story with the desires of the heart. So this is my desire, what I want and what I don't want. And God it's taken him it took like a 1.5 season to take me out of the church planting thing into just the full-blown apostolic. It was a process, you guys, from 2020 to like almost the end of 2021. And then everything I've walked through since then. And it's a beautiful thing to just know his desires and know what his desires are not. Okay? So my desire would be to go and flow in the apostolic, travel, me and my husband go wreck it for Jesus. I don't have one, but one is coming because this is what I've been told. And so we go wreck it for Jesus. I'm mantled, he's mantled. We have a call, we go apostolically, and we do it. And nowhere in there do I have a desire to plant a church or run a church or be responsible for these 500 or 1,000 sheep over here and have to oversee them and watch them and care for them and do all the things. You guys, for someone who's called to be a pastor, that's amazing. But I'm called to be an apostle first. And I don't want that responsibility, because I listen to me, I did it for 8 years. Although I did it and I loved it, it drains you and it sucks everything out of you. And it can also, if you stay in it too long or you insist on continuing in it, it changes you. You're not you anymore. And then what happens is you lack joy. You lose your fire. You're not flowing in the spirit like you should be. it starts to suck everything out of you, because you're not where you belong. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And also, like for me now, because I know what I'm called to do, and I'm living out the apostolic call, and I go and I release the fire and the glory and the now word over the bride, and I do all that. If I were to sit home here in Georgia and just pastor a church and not go and flow and be a sent one and go and release the glory and the fire and pray for people and do all the things, I would be so stifled. I would want to implode. Because it's not what I'm supposed to be doing. And so, I have no desire to plant a church and pastor a church. I don't want to do that. I don't believe I'm called to do it. The Lord told me that I did that for a season. That season is up. And He wants me to stay focused global, which is what I've been doing basically since 2021. And so I'm using this example for you guys to help you to see how, like, the original church plant desire I had when He put the apostolic call on me, but it was just a piece of it, you guys. That season that part of the apostolic call for me has passed. And so now my call is to think globally, to be able to go and flow. And so, so here's my example. David and Stephanie Herzog, they both are mantled and anointed with the glory. They travel all over and they wreck it for Jesus. And so, so let me say it this way. I'm not opposed to having an apostolic center. David and Stephanie have an they have a church, but it's an apostolic center. It looks just like a church. They hold all their conferences there, like 6 of them a year. But when they're not doing their conferences, they are traveling together all over, doing their apostolic work. And when they're home, sometimes they will use their apostolic location, their center, their church, to do like Sunday night revival glory nights or whatever. But they don't pastor a church. And so my desire would be for me and my husband to go. When God says go, we go. Sometimes I'll go with him and support him if he's speaking or ministering. If I'm speaking and ministering, he'll come with me and support me. And then, but we'll do like 70% or 60% of what we do together. But we go and flow. And we live globally. And we travel. I want to travel and go everywhere God tells me to go. Not to go there for vacation, but to go and do the work of the ministry. To release the now word, to train up the pastors in Africa or whatever it is he tells me to do. But my heart would be, that's what I want. So God says he's bringing me a husband, but my desire is that's what we would be doing. Is going and being apostles together and running all over the world. And when we're not doing that, we can have a central location or a home base where we do our own conferences. And so just so you guys understand, so my heart would be, you guys, I'm being so real with you. Don't be offended if you're a pastor. If that is your call, do it. If you're not called to be an apostle and you've been just given the pastor gift, then that's what you're supposed to do. And enjoy it. Wreck it for Jesus. But for someone like me, you guys, if it's not God's plan for you, then it's not good. And so this is what I'm trying to get you to understand is the heart has to be connected. And so to the promise, or the promise could be out of season or it's old and he's already fulfilled it. And so for me, and when I come home, I want to be a sent one, go and flow, do the apostolic work globally or do conferences at home. And then when I'm home, I don't want to come home and take care of 500 or 1,000 church members and give 14 hours a day all of a sudden the first 7 days I'm home or the 5 days I'm home, or maybe I'm home for 3 or 4 weeks. I don't know. But I don't want to give every hour to counseling them and helping them. And you guys, I did it for 8 years. It's a lot. If you're actually doing it right, it's a lot. And so And then you have, you got to kick Jezebel out, and you got to kick Absalom out, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and you got to get these people who are in division, because if somebody's offended with somebody, and get them to not be offended and be in unity. Okay? So here's the thing. I don't want to come home and spend my whole time when I'm not on the road or doing a conference at home doing that. So I know for a fact I don't want to pastor a church, and I don't want to church plant. Literally, I can just say it straight up, and it's amazing. When I come home from all the apostolic work or whatever I'm doing, I want to be able to come home, spend extended time with the Lord in prayer, go hiking, hang out with my husband, if I have one, whenever that happens. Hang out with my husband, hang out with my family, do family dinners, cook for them, have them all come over to my house. Well, that's why I need a house, and I need a big old kitchen, guys, with a double oven. But so they can all come over my house, and we can hang out, and we can eat, catch up on books I've been wanting to read from other people that I trust and respect highly, and I want to read their books and enjoy the Lord, enjoy my family, work on a book, whatever. That's what I would want to do when I'm home. I wouldn't want to be, coming home and having to pastor and all of a sudden get thrown into giving 90% of all my energy to those sheep. And so God has brought me to a place of I'm a shepherd to shepherds. I'm called to go and pour into other pastors and leaders. And you guys, I'm very fine and happy to say I don't have the desire to pastor a church, to be local like that, and to be stuck with that and be tied into that. I want to go and flow with the glory. And like I said, I'm not opposed to having an apostolic center where we do everything out of that center, and we do some of our own conferences and things like that, but we don't run a church. I don't want to run a church. And you're probably thinking, well, what if your husband wants to do the Sunday grind and do all that? Then he ain't my husband. He ain't the one. Because God would not put me, he would not do that. That would not be his choice for me. He would put me with someone where we can go do that together, because that's my heart. That's what I want. And so I don't intend to live separately from my husband. And so then he ain't the one. And so, see, that's the thing, you guys. You can choose desires to try to make someone the one when they ain't the one. And if the desires don't match up, then you need to understand that that's not a part of his promise. And it could be a marriage, a career. It could be, like for me, the church planting, the apostolic ministry, the traveling. And so I'm telling you my story so you can understand your own self. You can understand how to connect the desire and the knowing of your own heart to the promise. Because there's people that have been holding on to something for 25 years that God, way years before, removed that desire. Removed that from their heart. Because God already fulfilled that promise, or in whatever form, that season has passed. And so, you guys, I hope you enjoy me being super real with you. But like literally, that is how I envision my future. If I were to be married, that's what it would be like. That's what I would want it to be like. I would not, and as I said, if you watched the announcement video about the prayer movement, I said I would not plant a church without a spouse. But the truth is I don't even want to plant a church. I don't want to run a church. I don't want to take care of the sheep. I don't want to be pulled from global thinking into local. God has already taken me out of that mentality. And I can love Atlanta, love living here. It can be my home base. I will pray all day. I'll plow the ground, whatever God's told me to do on that aspect. But I still have to stay global in my thinking, because I'm an apostle and I have an apostolic work to do on the earth. And it requires going and flowing, traveling, and being a sent one. And that's my heart's desire. And anything that God would present to me that's opposed to that, it's not for me. And see, what happens is we'll choose something or want something, and we can't say to ourselves, but I don't want that. I just don't desire that. It lifts a weight off of you, you guys, to do that. And for me, it's been an amazing ride walking through these desires and then helping you and teaching you. And so everything I'm talking to you about are lessons I've learned over the last 15 years. And if you're truly walking this out right now, I hope that this really has helped you. And to really begin to unpack, sitting with the Lord and going, okay, Lord, not just helping me write down my desires, but what are the things I don't desire? And are those things that I actually don't desire things I'm pursuing and I'm not supposed to be? Things I'm trying to make happen I'm not supposed to? Because at the end of the day, it just really ain't me. But I keep insisting that I'm going to do that thing, or that's a part of the promise. When God's like, I fulfilled that piece of the promise, that season is over. And for you, it could be a career. It could be a move. It could be a church change, a whole ministry change. I don't know. Mine is on a different scale because of the apostolic and the mantle I carry and what he's called me to do. But I think you guys understand what I'm saying. So God really wants you to dig down deep and figure out what you don't desire. What is it you really actually just don't want to do? What is not you? And what is you? I figured out what me is. I don't want to sit and give all my energy to these 500 sheep and not have anything to give to obey the call, to be a sent one. Because literally, you guys, I can feel it. It's like a grating in my spirit. And people who are like me, who carry what I carry and do similar to what I do, they'll tell you what I'm saying is true. You start to get bound up, and then you begin to be who you're not. And you're trying to figure out what's going on. You feel like you're in a battle, and you feel like, what? And the whole time, the Lord, you're free. But you're not seeing it. You're not just literally accepting it and saying, I don't want to do this. This ain't even me. Whatever that could be. I don't know what it is for you. For me, it was the apostolic call, the church planting, the local mentality, the going global. Like, that is my walk. For you, I don't know what it is. But take time to sit with the Lord. So this is the word for the bride right now. Allow him to truly show you your true heart's desires that he has put there, and be able to admit the ones that you actually just don't desire. You want to, but it's stifling you. It's trapping you in religion. It's trapping you. Like, for me, I called it the Sunday grind. For you, it could be have nothing to do with that. It could be a whole different thing. It could be, this same career over and over, or this same leadership thing over and over. Like, you just keep doing the same thing over, So whatever your form of the religion of it is, I don't want to be squished. And I have a beautiful way that I see my future and how I want it to go. And I plan to wait for that and stand for that. And maybe you're like, yeah, Liberty, but, that's not going to give you very many choices of a husband. And you guys, think about it. You don't marry 100 people. There's only one. So if whoever it is that's been set aside, they ain't the one. They just won't be the one. And I am very happy for them not to be the one. Because I am not going to be stifled. I won't be stifled. I'm not going to cancel my call with the Lord. I'm not going to not do the apostolic work I'm called to do. For me, like I said, for the Sunday grind, I won't do it. And the thought of it is just like, oh my goodness, you know? And so it is so freeing, you guys. So for me, it just narrows a lot of things down. But at the same time, it's majorly peaceful and amazing. Because it's just amazing, you guys. That's all I can tell you. The last 3 days have been amazing. For you to truly, without caring what anybody thinks, it doesn't matter. I don't care I love you guys, but I'm not here to please man. And I had a whole lot of people that were upset with me when I did not plant a church in Texas. And I let all of you know why I could not do it. And I'm sorry, but I have to obey the Lord and follow the desires of his heart first that he's put in me. And he told me, no, that season is done, Liberty. And so we have to know our heart and know our promises and know when God has allowed a promise to expire or you've already fulfilled it, it's one and done or whatever it could be. I don't know what it is for you. And you have to be willing to admit when something isn't your desire. And even if it feels like it makes you far away from what you thought something was going to be, it doesn't matter. You have to trust God with that. Because at the end of the day, it was never supposed to be. And if it was, then it's going to go exactly how it's supposed to, and it's going to be perfect and right. And it will actually be what you want it to be. But you can't know that if you don't understand what you don't desire. Not just what you do desire, but what you do not desire. And actually figure yourself out and go, you know what? I don't want to be doing this. You're at a career. I don't know. I'm just saying this for you. You're at a career and you're like, you know what? I've been fighting to be here and stay here and do this and do that. And God's been you didn't know he's trying to get you out, but he's been trying to get you out and he's been showing you all these signs and he's been doing all this stuff. And then you're finally like, you know what? I don't even want to be here. And he's like, it's about time. I'm just saying. And then you get perfect peace. And then then he begins to give you the strategy to move on and transition away from that. It's amazing, guys. It's amazing. Okay, I love you guys. Be blessed. Work on, number one, continuing to break the theology of death. Grow your walking in the resurrection power, representing Christ, the light of Christ on the earth, not his death, because he's alive. And getting rid of the pit mentality, you guys. You're not an orphan. You get rid of the poverty mentality. You're not a victim. You are a son or daughter of the King. Amen. And we have to live like that and know that we have a purpose on the earth. We are born with a purpose. And sit with him on the desires of your heart and figure out and how to allow yourself to disconnect desires that you thought you had, but God has pulled it out. And it's trying to your heart is trying to stay connected to promises that God has said that season is done. And then let it go. I'm telling you guys, it's amazing. It feels so good. So, and this was a verse that I found that I thought just said it perfectly. 2 Corinthians 1:20. For all the promises of God find their yes in him. That's why it is through him that we utter our amen to God for his glory. The promises find their yes. That means we have to align with the yes of the promise. Where his yes is. That's where we want our desire to be. But sometimes you don't figure that out without figuring out what you don't desire and what you really just don't want. But it's amazing when you do, guys. It's amazing. Okay. I love you guys. Have a great day. Be blessed this Sunday. I will see some of you tonight in person, 6 p.m., Kennesaw University campus in Marietta. We're going to pray. We're going to take communion. We're going to wreck it for Jesus. It's going to be awesome. And the rest of you, I will see you this next week or something when I come back on again with another Now Word. Okay. I love you guys. Bye.